Welcome to Seasoned and Unbothered. We're two women over 50 serving grown women wisdom with a side of humor because we've earned the right to say what we mean and mean what we say. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Oh, welcome back to Seasoned Unbothered. Thank you for joining us today. And I like to say before we get started, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell button so you know when a video is upcoming so you won't forget to watch.
Yes, please do.
So we're going to dive in. We have a pretty good topic today.
Yes, we do. So if you have anyone that's under the age of 18 listening to this, just kidding. Anyone under the age of 18 does not want to listen to us.
Yes, we're going to have some adult conversations today.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about
sex in midlife, particularly sex over 50.
It changes. It really does change. And it's funny because when Tamika mentioned the subject to me, I was like, that is so good because I think I've been thinking about a lot of things and you just have to really admit to yourself and recognize that things change. And it's not bad, but you just got to adjust and change and how you move and how you do things. But you can keep, that area of your life still exciting and stimulating. And I want to make sure that we share with our viewers and with you how you can do that and to maybe strike up a conversation with your mate. Because I know I was telling Tamika that often I think there's shame around your performance if it's not the same
Sexual
as it used to be, right? And I know for men, sometimes it becomes very difficult to express if they're having problems. And for women, we don't know how to talk about it because we feel a lack of whatever. So we hope to give you some tools and this conversation can help you in that area. And if you're not quite there yet, it'll actually put you in the mindset to be prepared. And so when you do enter into that stage of life, that you can embrace it because it can still be a lot of fun. And you just have to embrace the changes.
Yeah, I think oftentimes sex is portrayed as something only for young people. And
I don't know, the senior they getting it in.
No, and I found some statistics just to kind of prime this up. Among 40 to 50% of adults ages 65 to 80 are sexually active. Among adults 50 to 59 years old, roughly 70% of them are reported being sexually active. And around 54% of adults 65 to 74 say sex is an important part of their life. So people are still doing it up into their 80s. So we want to make sure, that everything is good, so that you can have a healthy sex life until your 80s. And maybe 90s. I want to live a long time, so 80s and 90s.
Until they put me in the ground.
Okay, still want to be.
No, I have to be honest. I've never had a really high libido because to me, quality over quantity is, and it's not that it's anything wrong with people who have very high libidos. I just have never been one. And it's really funny because I remember my girlfriends telling me when they drink alcohol, they do certain things that it make them really sexual. And I've tried all that to see if it can boost up my libido. And all it does
is actually depressant. Yeah, I don't it's depressant. I think that, I agree. I think, I think I have a very strong libido. I think that what has impacted that is menopause. And perimenopause.
Yes.
And menopause has really impacted, not my desire, because I still feel like I have the desire.
How you respond.
But how it's taken a lot longer for the car to get warmed up.
Yes.
Like.
Change the gear. No.
It's taken a long time. Like it was.
Mindset for me.
Mindset. It just takes I'm there, I'm very, I'm a newlywed, I'm very attracted to my husband. All those components are there. I just think that some of the changes that appear, whether or not it be the lower estrogen vaginal dryness.
Yes.
Longer, like I said, longer time to become aroused, and also sleep. As for me, going through perimenopause has really impacted my sleep. So I'm much more tired than I usually am, where I'm like, I just want to just go to sleep. But you know that you got to keep, especially for me and I believe my relationship, you got to keep the fire going.
yeah.
So you can't be going to sleep every night.
Well, yeah, for me, sometimes I feel bad because I feel like I'm having lazy sex. Even though I'm gonna be very honest, that's one of my favorite positions. Lazy sex is good for me, but I know he probably like, I'm gonna get bored.
Princess. I didn't know you were a pillow princess.
Like that. I'm getting bored. No, but you know, I can hang from the chandelier. I can do it all, right? But to be honest with you, that early morning lazy sex is good for me. But of course, I like to spice it up and keep it spicy. And I remember in my previous marriage, because I've been married before, that that I felt I was totally obligated. And that's a whole nother conversation about feeling obligated. But I remember I used to pray like, Lord, just help me, just like want this and be whatever. But now I'm learning, because I think I didn't understand what was going on. And I didn't understand what was going on with him either when he started having issues and concerns. We didn't talk about it. It just became the silent thing in the room. And then sometimes you look up and you say, wait a minute, it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Can't let that
I'm like, you can't be having that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then on the other spectrum, you know, my husband, I don't want to talk that deep maybe, but he's very, very active and very whatever. And then for me though, I have a different mindset, and it takes a lot more to get me to, not that I'm willing always, but the level of participation is just different. And he said, and then the other day he was teasing me like, boy, I can tell when you, and I said, because sometimes it's not that. It's like when I feel connected to you.
Yeah, I think
when I feel connected to you, I just respond differently. Like, but the waking me up in the middle of the night, I don't respond too well. I'll be like, whatever, because sleep is important now. It's like I'm tired, my body.
So do you think that, just kind of going back to hormones, libido, menopause, do you think that had an impact on your
For me, yes.
For sex, and in what way?
Like you said, the vaginal dryness, that took a lot to get used to because I was not used to that.
I didn't know what it was.
Going on with me?
Yeah, that's how I was. I was like,
wait, I'm using like a waterfall or something, right? I'm like, what is going on? And that's like, and then I took a moment, and then I also had to make sure that he wasn't feeling like it was because that I wasn't into him anymore, and it wasn't that. And I had to understand, like, at first I didn't understand, like, what is going on?
Did you do anything about it? Any estrogen cream, or did you just
we started Pure Romance. I'm gonna put you on the map. If I had I would have brought the little bottle, y'all.
We'll link it below.
Yes. We started using Pure Pleasure.
So you started using lubricants?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And we started trying to incorporate them in a way that it didn't seem so whatever, right? Like, but without a doubt, he will. And then sometimes it's really funny because mentally I can get like very sensitive because there's times that I'm thinking like, oh, she all right. And then he'll still put some lubricant on. I'm like, well, dang, I thought I was good.
So, it's interesting that with my vaginal dryness, I never even thought about lubricants. I went straight to estrogen cream.
Oh, really?
And I feel like it's changed my life.
I've never even entertained that.
I went to the gynecologist, and I was like, it's something's like going on, because I didn't really know. Honestly, I was like, it's a little scratchy up there, like it doesn't feel like how it used to feel. He's like, oh, that's vaginal. He had to tell me. He was like, oh, that's vaginal dryness, and I was like, well, what do I do? So he's addressed it, the estrogen cream, and I feel like because it is estrogen, it does help with lubrication, but I do think it gets in your overall system, and it has made my libido higher.
Well, I wear a patch now, so I think that has changed it for me lately. And it's funny that you said that because I asked for it, but I asked for it because of the joint pain and everything.
Yep.
But when now I just hear you say that and I think about it, it has helped in other areas that I didn't even realize.
It helped in other areas.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I didn't even know that it could. It was like, I know kind of I've heard, and because I've done some research, that people even put it on their face to help with wrinkles and stuff like that. So, but that's not what I'm using it for what it was prescribed to use it. But I do know that they use it for a lot of different reasons. But I know that it's really been a game changer for me. And I haven't, hormone therapy isn't something that I've kind of dabbled in yet. And I've never thought about lubricants. We may have to add that in to our
that cream is good. I mean, the lubricant, it is really, really, really good. So it's something to consider. And then also just stress, work. It's just like, I don't know. This is where it goes back to where you really have to be intentional about keeping the fire lit. And even if it's not just around sex, but just staying connected to each other, because you can become roommates real easily. And unfortunately, I snore, so I know my husband would prefer to sleep in another room, but I'm like, I'm not having it. And so, and it's funny because I was like, okay, if I'm going to put my foot down, like we're not going to sleep in separate rooms, even though for a minute it sounded great, but we couldn't agree on who would leave the room. I wasn't willing to leave. I was like, that might not be too bad. And then I just creep on over there and go on back to my bed.
Yeah. Those people, that works.
And yes, but then we both said we didn't want to leave the bedroom. And so we said, okay, then we're just going to deal with it. And it's really funny because for a moment I was having problems with it because, as you can hear me kind of nasal now, he will be all the way on the edge of the bed for me not to be in his face snoring or doing whatever. And that would bother me. And that would bother me. Oh, sorry, I forgot we filmed it.
It's okay.
That would bother me because I'm thinking like, wait a minute, you're not, you only come over when you want to. And then it was just, I had to realize, like, again, a lot of things change in my life. So all those things change. And I was never a snorer. So now to have all this nasal drip and all this, and have it interfering with us. And on top of that, with all the other things, it's like.
And I don't think it's all bad either. When I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking about, since I have entered, menopause at this point, I haven't had my period in like a year. So I think that enters me into menopause.
That's the best part of menopause.
I was like, yes, because right now there's no fear of me getting pregnant. I do think that I am more self-confident, and because, I think there's more self-confidence. I feel like my husband and I communicate well. And I think I know what I like. We know what we like. So I think that does make, to me, I feel like sex becomes better. I feel like sex is better. It's not how it used to be 20 years ago.
Right.
But I do feel like in some, it's actually there's more of a connection. You talked about like there's more of the connection behind it than just the rip each other's clothes off sometimes thing.
Yeah, and we have those moments too.
We gotta have a picture.
We have those moments too, right? We and sometimes we plan those moments, and it's kind of weird because some people may think like,
we could stop if you got.
Some people may go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. Some people, like for instance, I think communication also strengthens intimacy. And when you get to the point where you can talk about it, and I think most couples do not talk about it, right? Or they talk about it when it really become an issue for one or the other or becomes a problem. But I think it's one of those conversations that every woman and every man should have because, believe it or not, men have issues too, right?
Men have issues too, and they definitely don't want to talk about it.
And they do not want to talk about it, but, so I think we, meaning women, can help engage in that conversation. Like even when you use the I statements, I feel closer when you do whatever. I notice my body is responding. Like, so they know it's not them. And that is something that you're going through and then they'll be willing to open up and talk about it. And on the other shoe, I mean, if you've been in a relationship with a man that start having erection problems,
erectile dysfunction,
or either premature ejaculations or whatever you call it, whatever they start having, right? But if you open the door to try to have a conversation in a very light manner, right? I think you'll be surprised if you, because they're not very comfortable talking about that because that's a part of their manhood.
Yes.
Like
being able to please and pleasure is part.
My husband thrives off the fact that he can get up and go every day if I allowed him to, and that he's still whatever. And I told him, I say, I worry about you because when this change for you, what is that going to do to you? It's not going to do anything to me because, again, quality over quantity has always been my motto, right? So, but I told him, I say, I want you, I love it. I'm not complaining, but it's not the end of the world for me. If we go a few days or a week or so, I'm cool with that, especially if we have legitimate reasons why whatever's going on in our lives, he's tired, I'm tired, we're working, he's out of town. But again, a woman has to invest the time and energy. If you start to see those, and sometimes the meds that they take really affects them too. Like if they start having hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes.
They gain weight as they, men get the midlife spread just like we do.
They do.
Which can
the
impact
boobs,
them.
they get all kind of things
that can impact them.
And they don't know how to talk about it. And they don't want to talk about it. And again, I think if the woman can find a way, or the wife can find a way to help him become comfortable with it and engage you in the conversation, then you guys can find new ways. You can explore new things about each other.
I just think it's real interesting that, and I guess you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments because I don't know for sure. I just know I haven't really talked about my vaginal dryness with my gynecologist. And I don't feel like I have any other libido issues. But I think for men, there are medical options that they have, whether that be Viagra. I think the other one is Cialis.
They even got the pumps and all this other stuff.
That they can take to help them. And I just don't think there's that same focus on women as well, because I don't think that the medical world is looking at ways for women to still stay aroused or act like men. Like, it's very interesting that they have a medication that can get them up and going, but there's not necessarily that medication for women. I mean, I talked about the estrogen, but, I think that's different than a Viagra or a Cialis.
Oh, yeah, and I guess because how we function is totally different, right? So
we still have a sexual desire and libido.
Well,
we want to get
desire
up and
normally, most of the men, the desire doesn't leave. It's just the ability
to perform.
Yes, the ability to perform. The desire is normally still there.
Yeah,
it's the
that's
ability. As opposed to women.
As women, you think we lose our desire?
Yeah, sometimes
our ability.
Yes, it affects our libido, your drive.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Your desire to want it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it affects us totally differently than it does a man. And also, unresolved tension affects women most of the time more so than men.
Are you talking about like tension as in like stress or things like that?
Relationship stress shows up in the bedroom for most women.
Oh, yeah.
It's only a few women out there and be like, yeah, I'm mad at him and I want to.
That's what I'm saying. I think that the issue is, and this is another topic that we could talk about another time, is that I think we're taught to use sex as a reward or as a punishment.
I try not to.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. And I know that was one of the advices that I got before I got married, may have even been from you, is to not use sex as a weapon.
Yeah.
And,
you can't.
And as we go into midlife, I think that's even more important that we're not using sex as a weapon. I think we should be at a point where we should be able to communicate better, be able to communicate what our desires are, what we want, if we're mad, things like that, being able to talk through it and not using sex in that way.
Right. I think it's very important. It's very important in the marriage.
Yeah.
But it goes twofold because also women, we connect with our partners through emotions most of the time and whatever. So it's hard to emote or to put forth those desires when you're mad about something or angry, right? And the last thing you want is for him maybe to be touching you, feeling you, because because you don't feel that connection, right? So but you have to be careful and I think try your best. I'm not saying, we had this knockout blowout, I mean, I got to go in there and perform or whatever. But I think also men also, have to work on knowing that it's like one of those things where they say romance starts before you get home from work, right?
Yep.
Did you call her? Did you text her? Did you say hello? Even if you leave before she leaves, do you say goodbye? Even when I'm angry, I still try to say goodbye. I still try to give a kiss, even though I might have something bothering me.
Yeah, they say that I can't remember the percentage, but they say that couples that actually kiss each other bye have longer relationships than those that don't. And that all has to do with intimacy. So we always try and we're also very touch is our love language.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're very touchy in general. So so there's always like a kiss or something before we go or slap.
We do, and then when I come home, we normally greet each other with a kiss, a little peck or something, or whatever the case may be.
And that's all foreplay in a way too. Like, like you said, there's those moments throughout the day that whether that's a kiss and you still think, a little peck.
Yeah, and like a little text throughout the day, just thinking of you, whatever the case may be. And it was really funny because last night I just like, wow, and we were in bed and I just turned over and I hugged him and I was like, I love you. And he said, oh, and because I just realized sometimes if you're not having those moments, like, have you not said it? Because we don't talk a lot on the phone, right? So we don't get to say, okay, love you, bye. And so I was like, I don't know why it just came upon me, like, you need to just tell him, he needs to hear it. He needs to hear it, And we had a very romantic moment without sex being involved. And
Did you turn over, go to sleep?
we did.
We do that a lot too. Be like, okay,
We
good night.
did.
I'm like, I'm so tired. I gotta wake up.
He was actually in bed before me.
Yeah.
And then we did go to sleep.
Yeah. I think, and I'm just kind of thinking about the challenges that some couples may have, especially at, like I said, lack of sleep, but also varying schedules. Like my husband gets up 3 a.m. Like when I get home today, he will be in bed sleep. So we really have to make sure we carve out time to be with each other.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you schedule intimacy?
It's so interesting that when we first started living together, he said that he did not want to schedule it. He wanted it to be spontaneous. And I was like, I don't know. Our schedules don't really lead to spontaneous because, he works a very long shifts, is in bed already 5 p.m. He's in bed to be up at 3 a.m. And then he works in 24. Actually did a 32-hour shift today. So I could go 2 or 3 days without even seeing him. And then when I do see him, he's exhausted from work. So he needs to sleep. So I think that he has become much more open to us scheduling time together because it can lead to a week, and we haven't gone past like 2 weeks, but it can lead to like a terrible 2 weeks of us not being intimate with each other. And I've been very clear to him that is not to happen. That's a no-go.
I think scheduling intimacy, especially if your lives are very busy, you got a lot going on, I think it can be very important. And not to make it as a chore, right?
No.
But because that doesn't mean that we have to, but it's
not like we're doing it at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It could be, but it's like...
it's prioritizing each other, like to make sure that we have those moments or do whatever. And I told Thomas, I think sometimes I want to treat it like it's an affair, right? You know how like you would plan those encounters, right? It's the same thing. It's like you're just not planning to go to a hotel. You planning to come here, go to bed, put some candles or whatever, or not even that. We might we might spice it up, or we might just say, okay, this is our night, and we might start off just sitting together on the couch watching TV because we're just together, but this is our night, and you have something to look forward to. I'm okay with you saying on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get it in, whatever the dates may be, and then if something happens and I'm not able to do, we're not able to do anything on Monday, then we might. It doesn't mean we can't do any other day, but it's just to make sure that we don't miss that time with each other and that we connect in that way. Because again, I think when you don't prioritize your relationship, it's the same thing with people call it. I think it's no different than saying a date night, right? A date night, to me, doesn't mean that we just go out on a date. It's a day that we are dedicated to making sure that we spend some quality time together, which could or may not end in pleasure.
You really express that it's quality over quantity for you. So that intimacy part really is important to you.
It is.
But what is your definition of great sex? Or how has that changed?
Okay, great sex for me, it changes. I don't think I have let's see. I'll find with me being pleasure, meaning me having, an orgasm, right? And I'll find with not having one and him being pleasured. I'm looking for the right word, y'all, because I try not to be raunchy, right? Because if I was going to really talk about this, I would use other words. But I can't do that because I'm trying to be, trying to be appropriate. But so I think good sex is we both are being pleased in whatever way. And sometimes my pleasure comes out of pleasing him. It really does. And there's times that I'm feeling real sexy and really whatever, like I'm gonna put it on him. And it's about, and in my mind, it's about me, doing whatever to him. And then in reverse, there's times when I don't think it's ever a time that I can't think of times when he's not pleased. But there are times when I'm not quite, right? And I'm okay with that. And then there are other times when I'm like, it's my turn or whatever. And again, we don't say it. I think it's just a feeling we go with. I don't know if he thinks that I get off every time because I don't.
No.
Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes I'm tired or whatever. But then there are other times that I make sure. Now, when I'm feeling a certain way, I make sure that he understands that this has to happen for me.
Yeah. It's interesting that you talked about orgasms because it's just like this is very timely because I heard another topic about this is that between 85 and 95% of men have an orgasm every time, where women it's only around 46 to 65%. So I do think that to me that gap shows that I think women invest more in men being pleasured than sometimes our pleasure.
Well, it depends on, because my libido is not as high as his, right? So my physical desire to have an orgasm is not always there, right? And so I'm okay. I may
With
then
the intimacy
focus
part
more.
of it.
Yeah, the intimacy is enough for me.
Yeah.
Right? That I will focus on him. And I'm okay. But with the times that I want to be pleasuring myself, I make sure he's aware. And he can tell the difference. And he loves it because he thinks I'm more into it when I want to, right? And it probably is because it's a different, I think it's a little different. And so I do recognize that he does recognize that it's different because he mentioned something to me, say, I can tell when you really want it. That's what he said to me. And I was like, oh, I always want it. What you talking about? He's like, no, you don't. I said, I always want you to be pleased. And because, again, physically, I think for me, it's a physical thing for me as it is emotionally. Being close to him and him being pleasured is important to me. And that makes me feel good. And then at other times, though, I'll be like, dang, it took you forever. And I'm thinking, dude, what I got to do?
Hurry it up
Do
already.
I got to get up and...
Hurry up already.
Now, that was what I have realized too. These ODs ain't what they used to
Oh,
be.
it's not.
Cause I can't.
That's why you're a
I
pillow
cannot
princess.
do all the things I used to do.
So you're a
I
pillow
can't.
princess.
And this is funny. We both can't do the things because it's either he's caught Charlie horses, I've caught a cramp in my foot. It is sometimes it's hysterical.
Yeah, it's especially when I think for maybe so, when you're with someone for so long, when you start being with each other like in your late 20s and 30s, now we're in our 50s. It's like it's
night and day.
It really is. It is night and day. But before we kind of close up this topic, I kind of wanted to revisit something you said before that really struck me at the very beginning when you talked about shame.
Yes.
And I don't know. Can you talk more about that?
Well, because because some people tie into a lack, like when your libido and your desire change, they feel shame about it. Like I'm not able to perform the way I used to, and I think it's for both men and women, especially for men.
Yeah.
And for women, because like even sometimes I have to think about it when he takes a long time, like the things I know what to do to please him, right? And when I'm doing those things and he wants to act like he is, like it's taking forever. And it's funny because sometimes our wires are just crossed. Sometimes he's thinking like, oh, I want to continue to pleasing her, so I don't want to, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm doing all this because I want you to.
Yeah.
Right, but again, so the shame is just like, because I know he's a man, and I know he's getting older, and I know that, he doesn't have any major health challenges now, but I'm aware of the challenges that men can have and how it affects them. And so I'm trying to help him embrace it so that he maybe can talk to me. And so sometimes I'm wondering, is it because he's having a problem? Or is it just because he wanted to what do you call it, prolong it as much as possible? And then there are other times I tell him, I say, it is whatever, I just want a quickie. I want to get in, get out the door. And he was like, and so just communicating those things, like having that communication is important because then there are times when he have performed maybe faster than I thought he was going to. And then he was like, then he'll say to me, you like that quickie? And I'm like, sure. And I think he's just testing the water when he says that to me, right? But, again, it's just, I think you don't want to feel, I don't want people to feel that you have to embrace that we are going to change.
I think too, when I think about shame, I also think about women and how we're often told that, especially older women who want sex, who are sexy, that there's something wrong with that. And you're too old, you're too old to still want to be sexual or want sex. And I often think about, because I'm a huge Golden Girls fan. I love the Golden Girls.
And the one was very active, right?
And it's Blanche. And I think that Blanche was always seen as, and they would call her, they would call her a little slutty during the show a lot. She's a slut, but she was a woman who in her 40s, I don't know how old they were.
No, they were
40s and 50s. I think they just looked older in that time.
But I think they wanted to be older women. They were in their 40s
and 50s at that time. In the 80s, 40s and 50s was very different than 40s and 50s today. And I think that there was a lot of wanting her to be ashamed of her sexuality and what she desired. I think that still happens today in some ways when you're older, to still, especially if you're single and you still in your 40s and 50s and you're single and you want sex and you're sexually active, I think that people still try to shame you. And I think that that's what needs to change.
I guess I can't really speak to that because I don't feel that in my group. I don't feel that amongst my friends. And when I look at
Well, I think 40s and 50s are so different now.
Yes, they are.
And there's more single.
And people are openly talking about it. And I know sometimes people, even in my circle, think that, like Burr's always trying to bring the sexy, like, and how I dress and look and all that. And if they really knew, sometimes I really do not feel, I look at my body, I look at myself, and I feel like, wow, I'm changing. I'm not that same beautiful girl. Like, and I never used to think I was real beautiful until I was like in my 20s. And so, because growing up, I felt like I was picked on all the time. I was dark skinned. I wasn't very attractive, but that's a whole nother story. But with that being said, I think we just we're like dressing the way I dress. It's just because I think as long as I can, I'm going to dress the way I want to dress, right? Mm-hmm. And I try not to get into. I don't think I have to wear, a big blouse and whatever. Now, I admit sometimes I'm probably, borderline with my little shirts and stuff and all that kind of stuff. But who's to say when you have to change that to some degree, right? It's the same thing when we talk about, I think that I like it when my husband looks at me and he said, oh, you look so cute. You look nice, or whatever the case may be. You smell good. Mm-hmm. And it's really funny because I don't think he knew that. And I remember, like, when someone walks up and I smell, like, even a man or whatever, I'm like, oh, they smell so good. And I'm like, one day he told me I smell good. I was like, oh, really? I said, he'll never tell me I smell good. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't. He said, well, you smell good a lot. And I was like, but you don't tell me. Mm-hmm. And I would love to hear that because sometimes I'd be searching for, like, should I wear this? Should I wear that? Mm-hmm. How's that smell? And I would hear from other people. They would say, oh, you smell good. But little things like that. And I think being sexual, being sexy is a good thing as long as you can. I think staying healthy, staying in shape, whatever it is that you feel. I mean, I can't wear all the things I used to wear anymore just because it doesn't look good on me. Yeah. But, it's funny because I really struggle sometimes with how things look on me or how I look. And I think people don't always realize that about other people. And as long as someone wants to wear sexier clothes, I think is sexier clothes the way to explain?
Yeah, but I think I think it's sexier clothes. I think it's sexier.
Because some people like, oh, leave that to the teenagers, or leave that. Or
no, I don't believe in dressing for your age. That's not a real thing.
To me, you dress for how you feel, or how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the day, and that's how I like to dress.
So let's get back to sex.
Well, that leads to sex. Yeah. But sex. Again, I think. And then also, what dressing, like I used to really be into lingerie. And I don't hardly wear it anymore. Now, I did go through all that lingerie I got for my bride.
Yes, we got so much lingerie. I would say the other day, I had on an oversized T-shirt. Just some stains on it, like an old shirt. And I walked in. He was like, what are you wearing? I was like, look, you're going to have to lift up this T-shirt because this is what I'm wearing. Like, I don't do lingerie anymore.
I used to love it.
And he doesn't. My husband is not into it. He likes skin on skin.
Well, that's
so he does not. He would prefer for me not to have.
Well, it was really weird.
So I don't waste the money.
Because I used to think the reason why I kind of don't indulge a lot. I mean, I went out of my way when we first got married. I will tell you,
you got a lot of lingerie
because I got so much lingerie. He was loving it. Every night I was wearing something new, something different, and I was bringing it right. And depending on what it was, I was like giving the whole attitude about it and everything. He was like, "Oh, this is fun," and I made it fun. So we had a good time. But I told him, I say, you never really expressed. If I wore something, you would immediately take it off. So I thought like you really didn't whatever. And I'll be very honest, in your midlife or in your 50s, like when you were younger, and you ain't meeting them at the door with the with the lingerie, or you ain't doing all that.
We at the cab, like, okay, we're going upstairs now.
Yes,
going upstairs.
We were like, that's outside, right? I'm going upstairs. Yeah, are you coming? That's the side now. And then what really bothered me sometimes is that we would say we about to go upstairs, go to bed, and I go up there and get a bed, and then he still take another 2 hours or something. And then I be mad.
I go to sleep.
Let's just say I go to sleep, and then he comes up and talking about, you was asleep.
I get like tap, tap, tap. I be like, what? I'm sleeping. I gotta like refocus.
Yeah, so yeah. But no, I think you can make it what you want. I think you have to be more intentional. I think it can still be sexy, fun, very engaging. And it's nothing to be shameful about. I think, again, you have to embrace the
Yeah,
changes.
and I think it gets better.
It
I think it would
does.
so much get better. It's different, but I do think that it gets better, especially if you have a partner that you're really connected to.
And that you can have that conversation with
Yeah.
too, and talk to each other and tell each other what you want. You know, it's nothing wrong with that. It's very, very, very important that you do, to be honest, do that, have those conversations. If you don't be afraid, and use the I statements, talk about how you feel and all that, so that he doesn't, no one feels that the other person is blaming them for the lack of whatever it is that they may be.
Yeah, because
feeling.
that happens with body changing, things will change. So that's one thing to realize, and especially, I can only speak for a woman, is that yes, during perimenopause and menopause, your body will change. But I think that I would say my advice is to make sure that you stay connected with your healthcare provider to get those additional resources that you may need in order to make your intimacy much better. Don't be afraid to do that, because there's great science behind hormone replacement, estrogen, a whole bunch of other things, lubricants, a whole bunch of other things that can make it so much better.
They even have arousal cream too.
I'm sure.
Go to, and don't be afraid.
I'll link some below. I'll link some of our
Yeah.
favorites below for you
Okay.
to check out, and you can let us know
And tell us
in the
what you
comments
think.
what you think.
Or something that you come up with, or that can be helpful to someone else, and we can share it.
Yeah. And I have a question in the comments, like, what has surprised you most about intimacy after 50? I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that or on this topic in general. Yeah. So, anything else before we go?
No, I think that was a mouthful.
Yes. No pun intended.
I'm going to get older. You just say stuff knocking every yard.
Well, thank you so much for watching us today.
Yes.
And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And like I said, make sure you leave a comment. You can also find us on Instagram. We've got all that in the description box. Check out our description box. I leave a lot of information there. I have where you can get in touch with Bern. She has her own Instagram account, and you can see what's going on with her little puppy dog, a lot of stuff going on there. With her Instagram. I also have an Instagram, a TikTok, and I also have a YouTube channel called Tamika G. Marie. That's also on YouTube, which is where you are finding this. And anything else?
No, that's all we have for today.
So just continue to stay seasoned and unbothered. Bye.